how's it going? I'm Coco.
And this is Mike.
And this is Rockin' Vino, the podcast where we talk about wine and music and how the two go so well together.
Find past episodes all over the web. You can find it at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, the Google Play Store, Spotify, all over the place, wherever great podcasts are offered.
Everywhere.
Find episodes there, like it, subscribe it. Subscribe it, do that.
Is that a new word?
I'm going to say it is. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Rockin' Vino. Like and subscribe there. And then
ROCKNVINO.
We never spelled it.
Well, maybe we should start that.
That might be a thing to do. And a big episode this week. I'm going to say it's our biggest.
I mean, it's pretty legit. And I know that Mike is so excited.
Very happy. Very excited for this one. Sort of a funny backstory. Our guest, who will join us shortly, was up in this area a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
In the Napa Valley, oddly hanging with one of our prior guests from a couple weeks back at Krug Winery.
That's right.
And so
it's a small world.
It is. It's a
but I'm not going to start singing that song.
A very small world of Rockin' Vino. But we've the great Dave Farrell, also known as Phoenix of Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Is going to join us, and we decided to bring in a past guest along with him, Gray Rollin of Belly Left Coast in Santa Rosa, as he's got some extra insight there that he can add, being the touring chef for Linkin Park.
Let's check it out.
Joining us now is the bassist for one of the biggest bands on the planet in Linkin Park. He's 1/3 of the Member Guest podcast. He's an avid golfer. He's a foodie. He's a traveler. He's a little bit of everything. It's Dave Farrell from Linkin Park. Dave, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. Glad to be here. What's the saying? There's a jack of all spades, master of none, or
exactly.
something like that. Lots of things in that bio that I'm just mediocre at.
Good to have options.
Bass playing included. just good enough. That's the key.
There you go. Now, also with us, returning guest, he's the rockstar chef. He's chef owner of Belly Left Coast Kitchen in Santa Rosa. He's touring chef for Linkin Park. Gray Rollin back with us as well. Gray, how's it going?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for having me back.
Definitely. Now, let's start off with Dave. Now, you've been keeping busy the past few months. You got the podcast. You've had your travels all over the world. You had a trip up to our neck of the woods here in wine country. What have you been up to lately over these past number of months?
Yeah, so kind of been all over the place. I started a podcast with two really close friends. Buddy I grew up with, Mark, who also tours with Linkin Park quite a bit. He's been our videographer for well over a decade and done a lot of our online content. He edits for us, all that kind of stuff. But Mark and I have known each other since we were 5 years old, grew up playing soccer together. And then another one of our buddies, Brendan Steele, who plays professional golf on the PGA Tour. So the three of us started a podcast more than anything just to give us an excuse to hang out when we're all home at the same time. Loosely based on music and golf. Obviously we're all interested in those two things, so we'll talk about that, but kind of ranges from anything and everything. And we usually try to get a fun guest in there with us as well, either somebody from music, the world of music, or the world of golf, but that's pretty open as well. So yeah, been keeping busy doing that. At the same time, I was up in the Napa area just, I think maybe a week and a half ago now. Had a blast up there. Good stuff.
Where do you like to go when you go to Napa?
Well, usually if I can do it, I get over to Belly, which technically obviously is not Napa.
I call BS.
That's the spot.
I know, right?
Right?
Plug it.
Yeah, I mean, any chance I get, actually, in all honesty, I would love to get over to where Gray is, over to Belly. And to be honest, as close as it is, I was just realizing this last week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I live down in Southern Orange County. I always kind of thought Napa was just hard to get to for some reason. And it's just in this last trip or two that I've done there where I've realized this is actually really easy for me. And but even with that, I think I've only been to Napa maybe 3 times now. So I'm maybe I'm at that age where I'm just we got to go drink some wine. This is awesome. Maybe I'm finally over that hump. But at this stage, I'm still kind of learning learning this was up there. We stayed at, I think is it Andaz? I don't even know how you pronounce it.
Do you consider yourself more a wine guy, a beer guy? Or are you just getting into it, learning wine now?
I went through a period of wine. This was probably 10 years ago or so, where I was kind of like, all right, I can do kind of a deep dive on things when I get interested in something. And for a second, I thought, yeah, I'm gonna really start to figure out wines. I'm gonna start with Napa wines. I'm gonna like dial this in. And I was so overwhelmed so fast, even just trying to do like Napa red wines and learn kind of what all the different varietals were and what the different tastes were and all that stuff. But I think I kind of like subbed myself out for a good 5-10 years. I mean, I'd obviously still drink wine on occasion, but I'm now getting back to the now kind of circling back to it again. But yeah, I think like I love beers. I like kind of a lot of the more exotic or small breweries, that kind of thing that's being offered in the beer sector. And then wines are a lot of fun too.
Nice.
You got to make it over to the Sonoma County side because we have beer and wine, like Colt beers and amazing wine, which is about an hour from Napa. And you can fly directly into Santa Rosa from LAX.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, I brought Dave a couple bottles of the Pliny last time I saw him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
When we were at San Francisco.
Yeah, they built that new Russian River Brewing in Windsor, so that's a cool spot to hit up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get a little deep right now, but don't get depressed. It's not a depressing story. My mom had passed away a handful of years ago, and so I was going to see a psychologist and just kind of like work some of that and talk through it. This is where it gets fun. My psychologist that I was seeing, awesome dude. He was the one who ended up kind of telling me about Pliny, introducing me to that, and then opening up that whole different world of beers.
Wow.
Now that I say that story, it might sound bad in the respect that, like, I'm going to talk to somebody and I'm depressed, and he's giving me beer suggestions.
Have you tried beer?
Yeah, it wasn't part of the actual working through thing.
Oh, good.
More of, like, the friendship. Like, we had golf in common. We had some beer stuff in common, so it was more of a shooting the shit thing. But he was the one who turned me on to the Russian River area. And then also like, Pliny and a whole bunch of other good stuff a good number of years ago. And then Gray is always good enough when I'm up to the area or even close to the area of helping me make that happen.
Yeah. I mean, when we're on tour, my one thing that was on my list every show was get Dave whatever the best local 6 beers of that town was. And so I broke it down from all the band members, and then Dave's list of every single show is a printout of, all right, top 6 things I got to do is one of it's one for Dave is for get the beers of whatever local country or city we were in, no matter where we were in the world.
I'm very demanding.
I know, very demanding. He didn't care what it was, just make sure there was 6 or 7 of them.
They're like, Gray, aren't you a chef? Like,
Yeah.
What are you doing hunting down these microbrews?
I know. What is going on here?
What would you say are the best beer cities that you found along the way?
I mean, I think it really would probably depend on what you're looking for. I'm kind of all over the place. I just straightforward, consistent stuff. I'm going to always end up probably landing somewhere in like Germany, specifically like the East, or even like blanking, like Prague, like Eastern Europe. Just solid beers coming from there for me. But I also love there's a small brewery actually called The Brewery right here in Placentia, pretty close to where I live. It's Bruery. And they do a lot of like barrel-aged, like bourbon barrel-aged beers that end up getting really, really high up in alcohol content. Like one of their most popular ones, I think it's called Black Tuesdays. Year by year, it's sometimes close to maybe like 16% alcohol by volume. So you'd think it would be like this really, really heavy kind of gnarly beer, but they actually turn out being a little bit almost like sweet. But those are awesome. But they're kind of like, they're really like a specialized thing. Like you can't drink that. You get like a Coors Light. You gotta go like, this is a sipper, and we're gonna take it easy, or else before we know it, there's gonna be some serious headaches.
No, it not necessarily beer related, but one of your recent travels was out to Africa. I think it was Cape Town recently. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so Cape Town, we got a chance to play there. Gray, we were talking about this recently, but was that like 2014 maybe?
Yeah, 14.
14.
That was that for me. That was probably one of my favorite countries to go with you guys. 1, 2. It was just an awesome just experience. First of all, to shop, to be a place where I've always wanted to go and never been. And then on top of that, I just remember getting there early in the morning to set up, and before I went to shop, and we walked the stadium while Digby and all those guys were setting up the stage and production, all that stuff before you guys even got there, and it was just so massive. I just remember how big the stadium was, and definitely a special place and just a special country for sure, and beautiful people.
It's funny that I say like recently, and then it's like 5 years ago. Kind of warped.
Yeah,
I think, and Gray also. Gray's been with us. I think I don't have the official count. Maybe Gray has
9 years.
Has it? I know, but how many countries?
Oh, 66. 66.
66.
Yeah. That's what my passport says.
It was going to be way more impressive when it was over 100. So go with my version of the story, Gray.
I know. And I talked to Mark one day when him and I were in Kuala Lumpur. He went out shopping with me so could do some pictures and photos and video of Kuala Lumpur. And I asked him, and he was like at 120. I was like, geez, I gotta work on this. So yeah, he like had double as what I had. So, but
up your country game.
Yes, I know. Really.
Yeah, so we had been down there in 2014, and I had gotten a chance on that tour to spend a ton of time in Cape Town, and I absolutely loved it. And at that point, my kids and family were too young to have made it make sense, but I loved it enough that I told my wife when I was there, I was like, when the kids are a little bit older, when they're in the right window to do it, we got to get back here. Hopefully, it'd be for touring, but if not, we still have to figure out a time to get down there and do some vacationing. And this past Thanksgiving, my youngest is now 7 years old. My oldest is 12. So they're kind of right in that window where the youngest would be excited and pumped to see all the animals and still like get it and remember it. My oldest isn't at the age yet where she doesn't want to hang out with us. So she'll still come, and be excited about it too. So it fell in that perfect window, and we got down there, spent some time in Cape Town, and then also went into the Sabi Sabi Reserve and got to see I think we did 4 nights on safari out there, which was just incredible.
Wow,
such a great
that
spot.
sounds amazing.
Yeah, the crew and everyone got to do a safari when we were out there. It was amazing. We saw all the Big 6 and Big 8, Big 6. I don't know what it is, but it was insane. It was, and then we had a big bonfire and they fed us in the middle of the wild and had all the security guys with giant elephant rifles surrounding us, making sure nothing attacked. It was we were fresh meat in the middle of nowhere, but it was awesome.
Wow.
So it was really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a different feel. It's like a different world down there, and it's humbling, but at the same time it's invigorating, and it's awesome. And so a bunch of the guys in the band too we had a window while we were on tour in South Africa where maybe 3 of the guys went and did a little 1 or 2 night safari. And at that point, everybody doing it, and with me down there solo without any family, I figured I'd let the crew go do it. I'd let some other guys in the band do it, and then I'd get the report back.
Right.
They were like, yeah, it's cool, but it's kind of a long way to go to just to go to the zoo. And I'd be like, cool, I know I don't need to do that.
Right.
Everybody came back and was just like, this is awesome. It was incredible, such a unique, unforgettable experience. So then I'm like, okay, cool. I know I need to come back, and I need to bring the family with me, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, I remember half the crew went on a safari, the other half went shark diving.
Oh, geez.
So
we did that too while we were down there.
Did you?
It's we did the cage thing. I think that was
that sounds
the first,
intense.
It was intense, and it was the first full day we were there. So the combination of being in freezing cold water in a metal tank with sharks and being really jet lagged.
Yeah.
It makes you feel kind of like you're hallucinating.
Right, I'll bet.
No,
Your body is like overtired and weirded out, and you have all this adrenaline, and you're like starving, but you also feel nauseous, and you don't know what's going on. But it was pretty awesome.
Now, do you find in the different cities and countries that you visit, say on a tour, do you get to experience the culture of them, or do you sort of have to make note that like this is a place I want to come back to and kind of get back there when you're off the road?
It's different spot to spot, and we ended up doing a lot of fly dates for us. So even if we were, say, in Europe, we would try to sit down in one main city. That way we could put wives and families in one spot and not have them travel as much, and then us get a chance to kind of fly in and fly out some shows. So we ended up really, when we're traveling like that, you learn the city that you're kind of like parked in for a while. Like I've spent so much time in Berlin, I feel like I know Berlin better than I know Los Angeles in a weird way. But I live in Orange County, so I'm like an hour south of LA, and somehow I know Berlin better than I know LA. But at the same time, and then there's all these cities at the same time, unfortunately, that we've played in, but you only really get to see like the drive from the airport to the arena or to the stadium, and then the facility itself, and then the drive back, and you don't get to spend a ton of time in those spots. So it's I don't know, it's a little bit of both. It's definitely a little bit of both.
So
I think Gray,
Yeah,
if you were to compare Gray's experience on tour to mine, Gray does a way better job of experiencing the culture.
Driver and translator. Hopefully, it's the same person. We go shop. I don't know if I ever told you the story, Dave, but I remember we were in China, like Qingchong, China, when we did that run with Chongqing. There you go. And we did that run, and I remember I had a translator that didn't know English, so that failed off the top. And it was about 3 hours into driving around, and then we're like going to these little stores, and there's like dogs and like it was nasty. I'm like, I refused to buy any food from any of these places, and then finally right before I was about to snap, I called production to talk to local production to say, hey, can we get either a translator or translate to them? Hey, I got a bunch of money in my hand. I need to buy high quality food for you guys. And right when that happened, I was literally about to snap. We pulled up to a stoplight, and a guy in a purple convertible Bentley blaring music pulls up right next to me, and I stop everything, and I jumped out of the back seat and talked to the guys and go, see that guy right there? I want to go where he shops. And then 7 minutes later, we're at the most amazing grocery store. I was like, where were we for the last 3 hours when we were taking me all these open markets and dogs everywhere, sleeping where the fruit and the meat were? I was like, oh God, thank God for this flamboyant guy in a purple convertible Bentley in the middle of his intersection. So, yeah.
How do I say Whole Foods in Mandarin?
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. But yeah, definitely. I mean, I get to travel. I mean, my thing with traveling, especially because you guys are such a big band, when we got to travel overseas, I always went up to the techs and stuff like that, ask for drumstick or picks and stuff like that, and I say, hey, can I get some of this? Because your guys' picks and drumsticks would pretty much get me from the back of the line to the front line. I have my translator going, hey, ask them if they like Linkin Park. Oh my God, they love Linkin Park. Cool. I need 2 kilos of this, 1 kilo of this, and I just give them picks, and that's how I kind of maneuvered around the world with getting what I wanted with your guys' picks. So.
Wow.
I try to
Picks
negotiate and barter with. Yeah, I try to negotiate and barter with them all the time. It doesn't really work for me.
Right.
Now, Dave, for you, did you have a pre-show go-to meal, or did you just leave it up to Gray and know that he would come up with something good?
I'll have the Chester. That's what he always said. I'll have the Chester. Pretty much what Chester wanted. But yeah, I always give him, I know this is probably an answer for a question for Dave, but what I would give him is a menu, and then they would do a pre-show, post-show. And Chester always ate really healthy, and I know David did too, and the whole band did. But he'd always say, I'll have the Chester. But Dave probably has another answer for that too.
Yeah, I think definitely no standard thing for me.
Mexican food.
I tried everything.
Tacos.
A lot of people will have rituals of sorts, I always eat at this time, or eat something too heavy before because I don't want to feel sluggish, or
Now, in terms of on a show day, did you guys have pre-show rituals, or are there the things you're doing, before a show to get you ready to get out there on stage?
The only most show days end up looking pretty similar, just as far as how the timing of everything goes. And our only real consistent thing for us is that we wanted the last 30 minutes before we play. So if we're going on at 9:30, then starting at 9 o'clock, we wanted the schedule to be clean, so we could all be, the six of us could be together and just kind of like get our heads straight as far as what we're doing that night and what we wanted to do. Otherwise, with meet and greets and with press obligations and with all the different things that can be going on leading up to a show, you could be running around up until 2 minutes beforehand, and then it's like, oh shit, we got to go play a show right now, and like I haven't even really talked or touched base with any other guys. Like we haven't figured out like what we're doing about set tonight. So early on we learned like for our sanity we need to have a window of protected time that's just for the six of us, even just being half an hour. That was always has been really important.
Right. Now, we talked with Ben from Imagine Dragons last week. He's a local boy to this area. One of the things he talked about, they're sort of just about to hit a break after being on the road for forever. He was saying it's one of the things that's hard is when you spend so much of your time kind of in the context of being a member of a band, that it's easy to kind of lose connection with the other parts of your life that just the normal, regular human things you would do on a day-to-day basis. Did you find that was kind of an experience for you? Are you able to kind of reconnect with that part of you over the last few months?
For sure. Definitely. We've just surpassed now, got to be coming up on 2 years. Well, it'll be 2 years this summer. So I don't know, call it a year and 7-8 months, right around there. So we've been pretty quiet since then, and it's been a tough year and a half for us, a huge shift. And at the same time, it's been a moment, I think, for me to just kind of catch my breath. We had definitely had breaks during the previous, call it 20 years, time when we could be home and some time off. But at the same time, in the whole process, my brain was always kind of at a little bit of a countdown for when the machine starts up again. Like, okay, that date on the calendar, even if it's 2 months out, I know that at that point, like, I'm sprinting again. So now looking back, I never really mentally shut it off, even when I was home. And at this stage right now, with the ages that my family is at and everything else, it's been such a kind of a silver lining to be able to just take that time and really be present here, and all the cliches of I know these ages don't last long that the kids are at. I know these times don't last forever. But even knowing that, even repeating this to myself as a mantra, it's still easy to get stuck not actually being able to appreciate the moments and not being able to be completely present. And when you're doing things, just gravitate towards that. What needs to be done? What can we do? What would be exciting for us to do? What would be fun for the fans? Like, how do we take care of our crew and management better? Are we doing a good job with that? Like, just all the nuts and bolts of that all the time are just such a big kind of monster to oversee and to steer that it's been oddly, really, really, I guess not even odd because it's pretty easy to understand, but it's been very nice to have a season of life to kind of catch my breath and recenter a little bit.
Now, you were able to, you played a few guest spots with Mike Shinoda on his solo tour. Do things like that, is that a way to sort of keep you, musically engaged still? Even though you're sort of, like you said, kind of turned off doing other things, doing things like that sort of keeps you engaged creatively and musically still? Yeah,
absolutely. And for me, it's not, it's kind of tough to describe, but maybe to say it this way, I've been playing music since I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. I started on violin first, to classically trained on that. And for me, music has always been a really positive place for me to go, kind of like to express myself in, regardless of what was going on growing up, family trouble, whatever. I was always able to kind of insert myself into the creative process in playing music, and just have that be a positive escape. And even at this stage now, I still love playing. I'm taking drum lessons with the same teacher, my oldest daughter, just to keep playing and love it. And doing shows with like Mike, that's awesome. It's just obviously I love his music. I love what he's doing. It's been a chance to get out there and see some of our band again, and also just play. Having said that, yeah, I'll have to play anywhere that it works for them. I'm not like killing myself looking for a stage to go play on by any stretch. I'm not like bending over backwards to figure that out. I don't feel like that's something I need, but I do love music, and I love playing on myself, and I love, kind of performing and sharing that with other people. So that's definitely an easy avenue for me to find myself in.
I know you mentioned, obviously, you guys, after the passing of Chester, kind of still working through that. I mean, I'm sure you've answered every question in the world about that, but I thought I'd just kind of find out from both of you guys. I mean, you spent so much time, on the road together. Any, favorite memories or stories you had, just being a band on the road, playing with Chester?
Love that guy. I miss him. Man, he was a cool dude. I think that when I first got to meet all you guys, I remember the day that happened, and I remember the time when when Digby actually first hired me, and I first went up to Digby, and I said, "So what do I need to do?" Like, usually I'm not so one-on-one with the bands for all the bands I've cooked for, and Digby's like, "I hired you to do a job, now do it." Like I have my job, Digby has his own job, and now I have my own job. So that gave me a very open window to be one-on-one with you guys. And with Chester, and everyone, it seems like everyone has their certain days. And I know when it comes to showtime or a big family, it comes together and everyone has their definitely defined job. But with Chester, it seems like I always gave him his happy food. For me, I call it happy food for Chester. I always had his quinoa. I always had his guacamole. I always had his grilled fish or whatnot. And I think that just made it happy. Something to remind him of home, which helped me know that by doing that and was a comfort thing for him. And then just to be so one-on-one with him, bringing this. Some of the things I remember is when I used to walk your guys' drinks to the stage, Dave's beers or whatnots. Chester's teas is Fuzzy Delson, Brad Delson's special drink that everyone in the band seemed like they wanted towards the end. For me, it's just like little things that I know so much about what makes you guys run, and I know my job was to keep you guys healthy and happy, and I hope that. For me, for all you guys, is that's something like, hopefully I did as well as I could. But with Chester, it was, I remember just him screaming, getting his vocals up, and I just knew him so well. And when he needed something before he even needed it, like his Phil Collins tea and stuff like that, the second I heard his voice open up, I automatically started making it, and I just handed it to him. It was such a natural thing, kind of like breathing almost. And it was just so much fun to watch him and all you guys get on stage and just watch the crowd go fucking crazy. Hopefully I can say that word. But it was a blast, and it was a memory that I always remember. It's kind of crazy. I'll have because I always wrote your guys' menus on my phone, so I go back to it. I can remember exactly what Chester ate almost every single show, and all you guys almost. I remember Brad Delson came up to me one day. I think we were in Moscow when it was torrential downpour and all the buses and cars got stuck in the mud, spinning their wheels. And all of a sudden, Brad came up to me, and it was like halfway through. I don't know. It was probably the fifth year I was with you guys, and Brad's like, hey, I want chocolate chip cookies today. I was like, Brad, you've never wanted a dessert ever. Like, what? So I'm like, Dad, I promise you next show I'll give you chocolate chip cookies. But today I don't have them. So, but it was just a very unique. He's such a proud person. He always loved having his family around him, and always loved being around with you guys. And I could always see on your guys' faces that when Chester had a good day or he was excited, he was jumping around and his vocals were sounding awesome. I just felt like the whole show is going to be great. And he was definitely a special person. I always hold a special memory of him and with me and the memories I had with him, and just a good heart. Bottom line, it was such a good heart. And I know the fans loved you guys. Still do.
One thing that a lot of people probably wouldn't know unless it's a chance to hang out with him a little bit is that he was always so awesome with kids. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, to be in a band that's big or that's as big as Linkin Park and be kind of the focal point of frontman, or to be in anything where there's that much attention and eyeballs on you, I think sometimes it's kind of really tough to almost feel like you're always having to be that person for everybody. But Chester, when it came to kids, he was always just, like, so excited and ready and open to just being like his warm, natural, energetic self, to the extent that sometimes I would be talking with Lindsay, my wife, and just be joking, but at the same time only half joking. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but somehow Chester is better with our children than I am. And
yeah,
it was just cool to see the fact that, like, here you have this uber talented guy who's, you know, can do anything in the world with his voice and just has, like, the love and adulation from so many people. But his real sweet spot or his real comfort zone was, like, you know, playing with my 5 and 8-year-old, just getting on the ground with them and wrestling with them and, like, just being goofy with them. And I think any kid I ever saw come across Chester just loves him for that. Like, he was, Uncle Chester is still, to, like, this day, all of our 3 girls, like, one of their favorite people of all time.
I totally remember that too. Just him. It could be like 10 minutes before the show, and the kids could be playing, and then he'll just jump on the ground and play games with them right before the show. So, yeah, I feel like that was definitely fond memories of multiple times about that.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the band itself, I mean, Joe made little news last week saying that you guys, started talking about making new music. I feel like you're all kind of being, really respectful to the organic nature of it, and just kind of, letting the winds take you where they go. Is that kind of the way you see it right now?
Yeah, I think the reality, the easiest way for me to put it from where I'm coming from, is just that I don't really know what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And I know nobody wants that answer because it doesn't describe or say anything. But the reality of it is, for me, is that I know I still love music. I know I still love, the 5 guys. The 5 of us still get together. We still hang out. We still love being around each other. And I don't feel like I want to be retired, whatever that means. Mm-hmm. So I know I want to do something at some point in the future, but I'm not in a rush to do anything just to do it. And at the same time, I don't know how it will come together. If it comes together, I don't know how it will yet. I think there's a ton of different possibilities of what we could do and different things we could do and how we could do it, but I don't know beyond that.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's almost like a question that has no right answer. It's just it's just kind of has to happen for itself, I guess.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like it needs to be figured out, and at the same time, it doesn't need to be figured out in any sort of a timetable. Everybody, and I think it's cool that everybody wants to know what we're gonna do. Like I like that people are curious, or I really feel like our fan base is behind us in kind of the coolest, most supportive way. You know, that I feel like they're pulling for us, and really, really positive and supportive. I think that's awesome. And at the same time, we don't know. I don't think we know what we want to do yet, and I don't. You know, even once we figure out what we want to do, then we need to probably figure out how we want to do it. So it's a little bit of a multi-stage approach.
Right. Yeah. A lot of steps still to come, and I know a lot of people watching and seeing how that's going to turn out. So if people want to find you, it's the Member Guest podcast. You can find it at memberguest.com. I assume it's available on all the streaming services, wherever great podcasts are offered, as they say.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the podcast is available kind of, I think, just about everywhere. So iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. I don't even know if Google Play exists anymore.
You can find it on my MySpace.
Right, exactly.
If you're an Android user, then you know where to go to get your own podcast. I'm pretty sure we're there. But yeah, Member Guest. That's been such a fun project for us over the last, I guess, year or so. And we're not super consistent, but we're adding stuff up there here and there as we go, and it's a fun list to check that out. Yeah, and then on Twitter, and we're up on Twitter and Instagram. I think one of them we're Member Guest Official, the other one we're just Member Guest. We purposely made it as hard as possible. If you're gonna follow it, or if you're gonna be in touch with what's going on, we're gonna really make you work for it.
There you go. It's an accomplishment just to find it. There you go.
Right. But Dave, you were doing a couple of these podcasts in the beginning. You guys were doing them at breweries, right?
We were doing them at the brewery. That's the one I had talked about.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so a friend of mine started that 10 years ago or so. So he had recording equipment up there, and before we had any of our own gear, we were just kind of poaching his office space and using his stuff.
Excellent.
Now we're fully mobile. We go wherever we need to and record.
Excellent. So, Dave Farrell, Gray Rollin, thank you guys for coming in. Dave, we got to get you over to the better wine country, the other valley, over to Sonoma. So hope to see you up here one of these days also.
That'd be awesome. I'd love that.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, guys.
You guys got to get the Sonoma equivalent of Bottle Rock or something going on over there.
I know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's true.
One of these days. We're not that too far. All right, brother. Love you. Say hi to the family.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.